Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Orange Plus Live. I'm Jeff Ketchum. That is Chad Hastings. We're going to be with you talking Texas football. Number one ranked Texas football. That's right. The AP poll came out earlier this morning, and we don't have 1 versus 2 because the voters just couldn't help themselves. We'll get into that, though. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. More than 73,000 of you have done so. I can remember when we were at 23,000 and I was kind of embarrassed at the number. And now, what's up? Chad's just pushing buttons and pushing comments up about the Astros. It's going to be a show.
I was trying to get to a weird number 1 and everything was coming in so fast. I inadvertently hit some other stuff. Sorry about that.
Guys, jump into the Specs chat away. Leave your comments. In fact, what I'd like to see in the comments section today, I just want to know everybody's top 5. You can even go top 3 if you don't feel comfortable with the top 5, but I found myself really fascinated by the fact that Clemson is ranked ahead of Georgia because those two teams played somewhat recently. And I'm not saying that Clemson doesn't have a quarterback advantage or any other kind of stuff. I'm just saying I was a little surprised to see Texas 1, Penn State 2, Ohio State 3, Clemson 4, Georgia 5. Kind of an odd grouping of teams. I'd love to know your top 5 as Chad puts it up on the screen. But we're still talking about camp. Steve Sarkisian, Chad, will meet with the media this afternoon in a few hours, and they'll talk about the scrimmage, and they'll talk about, how many touchdown passes Arch Manning threw to Ryan Wingo and where this team is. And, it seems like a real simple show for us to do today. You come out of a scrimmage, and there's a sense of we're all thirst trapping for football, right? There's a part of me yesterday that was like, bring on the third quarter of Bears Dolphins preseason. We're thirsty. Longhorns have their first scrimmage, and there's a tendency to just kind of make it into something that it's not. I was reminded by somebody earlier today that last year the word going around was that the Texas defense won the first scrimmage, the Texas defense won the second scrimmage, and everybody was wondering, what does it all mean? And then it turned out, the defense was really good. I think we spent a week talking about what it would sound like after the first scrimmage. We accurately kind of predicted it, and it still kind of turned into a thing. So with tomorrow being officially the 2-week mark of August camp, training camp, not fall camp, whatever we're going to call it, it seemed like a good 30,000 feet up view of not just the scrimmage, which feels a little too defining of whatever we should be talking about in camp, and more about the totality of what we've seen through 2 weeks. With this team now being less, technically, we're 18 days and 23 hours away from Texas v. Ohio State.
I like that.
You like it when I do that, don't you?
Yeah, the breakdown is always good. All right, you asked for it, Catch. Here's one for you. Fragrance reviewer says Texas, of course, Ohio State, Georgia, Penn State. Didn't give us a top 5, but slid in Penn State there at 4. I also see multiple super chats. We will get to those here as we start out. 3 super chats came in right here at the beginning.
Well, we can't just let them dictate the show. Sorry, super chat people.
No, I understand. We'll get to. We got. I'm getting them stacked up.
We know you exist, but you're not the programming of the show completely, unless there's a 50 or a hundo spot. At which point, my views about things change. Chad, I'm curious. What is your perception as an a close upside or outside observer, but you're not in your feels over any of this, and you probably weren't on the seat of your pants on Saturday waiting for the updates to come in. You'd probably been fine reading it on Sunday or Monday. Your perception of what's transpiring of camp is what?
I think the story of this Texas defense continuing to develop and continuing to be the story, I think that's fantastic for Texas. And I know fans don't always want that part because I know Arch Manning is so special and all of that. But this version of college football, you need to have this type of defense, I think. And That's what I keep seeing. The thing I look for this time of year is, are you staying healthy? Number one. And then as long as that's going on, I want to keep hearing that the defense is in control. I do. I want to keep hearing that they're at that level. So the big story for me is that this defense should be really badass. They're going to play at least 2 games, maybe more, where they're going to absolutely have to lean into it. So that's a story for me. And I would tell Texas fans to calm down a little bit. If they're freaked out at all about the offense, calm down. I think it's going to be really good. I don't know if it's going to be great. I certainly don't know if it's going to be great right away, but I would tell them to calm down a little on the offense.
Yeah, sometimes in these scrimmage and practice reports, it really, you almost have to reverse engineer MacGyver this stuff. A lot of times it's not what you hear, but it's what you didn't hear. It's who's not being discussed. Whose name isn't being singled out. If one guy at one position on one side of the ball is having a great day, who'd that happen against? Like what, because usually when a guy's getting singled out, a lot of times you don't necessarily hear the inverse. Consequently, it's funny. I can't really completely explain how this happened. It reminds me of the bane of my existence and all of our existence as reporters who cover Texas football. The expectations within like an hour of practice and a scrimmage is that you've got like a detailed practice report, or someone else on another website will, and then, so it's a weird deal, because I was on Ohio State websites all weekend long and there were like no details at all. And I just was like, boy, Texas fans don't realize really. Anwar at one point was like, and then on the second series of the drive, there was a 3 and out. And I was like, okay, that's even a little more detail than I would expect or probably demand as a fan. And yet it was,
and that's reporting on a practice nobody really gets to see. Like, that's crazy.
So somehow, a couple of websites reported that Arch Manning had thrown 3 touchdown passes to Ryan Wingo. We reported, our sources had told us, of 1. Everybody kind of agreed that there was 1 everybody agreed on.
Mm-hmm.
I went and checked out Chip's report. Chip didn't mention that there were 3 touchdown passes, but, I think on 3, I think maybe Bobby reported it. Not completely sure. I also know that one of the people that reported that Arch had 3 touchdown passes had also reported that CJ Baxter didn't wear a knee brace in practice. Thus, people were coming to our chat on YouTube on Saturday asking about, what are your thoughts on CJ Baxter not wearing a knee brace in practice? And we just kind of were like, yeah, we're just going to ignore that because not really sure what you're talking about. Only for the reporter to come back later and say, turns out he wore a knee brace. And it's like, guys, we're in the weeds. We're officially in the weeds.
Yeah, could have been a matching knee brace. One of those things where it just blends. They make them not catch where they blend in. You can barely see them.
Somebody this weekend was like, "Are you going to call that out?" And I was like, "No. Look, there's one thing that reporters have to do.
You would call that out.
Is understand that there are a couple of times a year where the demands for what we do on our job are just silly. Detailed breakdowns of practices that we can't watch.
Yeah.
So you do your best. You're talking to people who are trying to help you out, but like it's not like they're on the clock. Orange blood sending in a secret. No, it's not quite like that, right? And so you reach people that you talk to. And then, the funny thing is, sometimes you talk to coaches. But even when you talk to coaches, you have to wonder, did they tell me what's what? Did they tell me what they want to know in the media? Like, what's everybody's confirmation bias and angle and everything that they're telling me? I've talked to people at practice before who are connected to players. If I'm talking to the agent of one quarterback and he's talking about the other quarterback,
what's going to happen? I wonder.
You have to you don't want to completely toss away the information, but you also can't couch the information as, got this information talking to Quinn Ewers' agent, and this is what he said about Hudson Card. It's like, no, you can't do that, right? So you end up in a situation where you do the best you can, and sometimes in these reports, say, okay, well, maybe everybody agrees the defense got the better of the offense. Everybody agrees that there was a badass touchdown between Arch and Ryan Wingo.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference between like whether or not there were, and nobody is saying that they didn't occur. Like, I don't remember any source telling Anwar or Jason, hey, whatever you hear, this didn't happen. They just told you from their perspective what happened. Somehow, a couple of plays were missed. Really weird. I can't explain it. But then even in the context of what was missed, it was like, well, was it ones versus ones? Was it ones versus twos? Was it one versus threes? Was it red zone? Was it goal line work? Were they doing pure scrimmage situations? Was this 7-on-7? Was it 1-on-1 drills? What are we calling touchdowns? I'm exhausted, people. You got to stop. You got to stop. That's all.
You brought up a great point as we were discussing this before the show about those type of situations, red zone or goal line or whatever. Like, it could have been, did Ryan Wingo catch a couple fade touchdowns, but it was goal line work.
It's like, oh, man, you know who had a badass day today, Chad? CJ Baxter? Yeah. Oh, yeah, tell me about it. Dude had like 5 touchdowns. Oh, damn. That is a badass day. Like, what was the best one? Well, he made a guy miss on one of the 5 plays they ran inside the goal line, and like he just kept cashing it in. It was like, oh, so the total amount of yardage on the 5 touchdowns was 7? And it's like, yeah. Oh, like, and again, this is where I'm pleading with everybody. We got to stop. This is why coaches don't let us into practice.
Right.
Honestly.
And Catch, this is why for years, despite what I've done for a living, I've said if I was a coach, I'd shut it all down. I wouldn't let anybody see a thing, because the way you describe it, because you could talk to one source that saw a practice and said, defense had a pretty good day. You could talk to another source that watched the same practice and said, defense dominated today.
And look, and then you talk to one person who will say, hey, FYI, my kid had to take a leak and I missed like 20 minutes.
I had to take a call from the plumber.
No.
And I had to step away for 3 reps.
Hey, I'm not even going to say it. We had somebody that was one of our sources that had like some life event stuff.
Yeah.
In the summertime.
It happened.
And it was like, don't know if he's even going to be able to be there because of whatever's going on. And you just kind of shrug your shoulders and you're like, okay, well, like.
Hey, I was watching some Quinn Ewers, see how he did with the Dolphins. My daughter walked in and asked me a question. I had to pause because I was about to miss a rep or two.
Hey, look, if Sark shows up today and goes, hey, I want to start today's meeting with the media. Couple of Chip, I see you. Onward, where you at? I saw your practice reports. FYI, like 90% of everything you said, like word for word, I can't believe you had that level of detail. But how dare you? How dare you forget to mention that Arch and Wingo hooked up a couple of times? Is it because you don't want to put Arch Manning on your thumbnails on your YouTube channel? What are you doing? Are you trying to begrudge Arch? The one thing I said over the weekend was, hey, look, if we were just going to make stuff up, Chad, like make it up, I would lean on the lie and the story that Arch threw 75 touchdown passes in scrimmage. He would be Uncle Rico in scrimmages. Did you hear about Arch? He threw that ball over the mountains over there. That's his arm angles. It's incredible. Yeah, I mean,
from a knee.
Believe me. There's a part of me that's like, I wonder how all of our people to call all of their sources and say, how the hell did you miss Arch Manning throwing a couple touchdown passes? If in fact that happened. And then what I don't want to happen is, oh, you guys wanted to hear about that? I thought that was like in warm-up, so I just didn't think anything of it. Or I didn't have the heart to tell you I went and had to go to the bathroom. Or my wife called and I just wasn't paying attention and someone scored, but I didn't know who was.
Maybe they fired off one of those air horns that they use catch at practices to switch periods. Those are scary. Maybe it scared a couple media members and they like had to turn the other way.
I just want all of you to understand we're doing the best we can. They're just, yeah. I know you guys just want to hear what happened. And I'm telling you, if you were an Ohio State fan today, you literally would not know one specific thing that happened from any media outlet covering the team today. Meanwhile, at Texas, you know everything that happened in a closed scrimmage to levels of detail that we're quibbling over.
Yep.
What was the usage in the red zone versus the goal line versus scrimmaging?
This is tip-top champagne problems, Catch. This is tip-top champagne problems for Texas fans.
Chad, we're going to pay a bill because we have sponsors. See them at the top of the screen. Love your Cardhouse. Love your specs. When we come back, real briefly, we'll jump into like really let's clear out the clutter.
Mm-hmm.
No more weeds. We'll just talk about the things that you really need to know.
Yeah, we're going to do this like a garage sale. We're going to find the good stuff for you. We're going to get that to you. Thanks to all of you for jumping in. Already 400 of you in the specs chat. You'll hear about specs a little later. Right now, you're going to hear about one of my favorite places on earth, and that is sinus and snoring specialists. Sometimes I talk about my wife when I talk about sinus and snoring because she gets up really early in the morning to drive a bus, really early. When you do a job like that, you got to be sure you're resting well. And at one point, a couple years ago, she was not. She was she was snoring like crazy. I finally convinced her of that. We found out how bad her sleep apnea was, and sinus and snoring specialists helped her to sleep better. So now I don't worry as much about my wife having to wake up super early and, not being ready to roll. 601-0303. They can help you just like they help my wife. Snoring, sleep apnea, get rid of your allergies for good. The Austin area is legendary for its allergies. They can get rid of them. That's what they did for me in 2017. I haven't had to worry, knock on wood, I haven't had to worry about allergy stuff like I used to since 2017. Check them out. SinusSnoringENT.com is that website as well. Cool videos and stuff there to let you know a little more about what they do. Feel clear, rested, and healthy with sinus and snoring specialists. We are a little bit closer to Texas and Ohio State today. We see y'all super chats, but to be fair, they are a little off the topic today, so we're going to hold them. We're going to get to them, I promise. There's a question about Jake Cruel. Somebody wants to catch to update that recruiting-wise. We'll get there.
Give me a super chat. Let's not let them completely dangle.
You want one? Okay. All right, hang on.
Real quick.
Do you want a shout out? You want the Kindle shout out? You want a Quinn?
Rapid fire. Let's knock them out.
Oh, you want them all? Oh, well, let's get them all. First one came in was this one. Quinn still playing hot potato with the ball when he gets touched. He got a chance in the NFL. I say he was maxed out in high school. Geez, Horn 3363. Keep a good thought.
Maxed out? I don't think that's fair, but I don't think his upside and like his actual level of skill was probably fairly evaluated. It's still baffling to me that a lot of the things that Quinn deals with today. I mean, that pass rush got into his face. And he just dropped the ball and he kind of collapsed. And it was like, those are the things you can't do as your ball security, like really important stuff. That stuff's been there for years. And I can remember talking about it in high school. And Chad, people literally clowned on me. I felt like one of the few voices of dissent that just said, I think he's really talented, but I kind of have some question marks, and here what they are. All question marks that existed throughout his college career. When I brought them up, I was yelled at for clickbait. People thought I was just trying to be contrarian. At worst, they thought I was a goddamn buffoon for suggesting that he wasn't going to end up being the number one overall pick. Just a really bizarre situation nothing like it ever. In all my other 30 plus years of being in the industry compares to the viewer's experience.
Yeah, somebody just jumped in the chat, said, why y'all hating on Quinn? We do not have time to get into
I really don't.
Yeah, we can't get into that thought process. ATX Bates, thank you for this one. $4.99. I know I'm a weird chatter, but shout out to Sergio Kendall, dealing with cancer collectively for everyone. F cancer. No doubt about that. ATX Bates. I saw that a GoFundMe type of situation had been set up for Sergio and his family to deal with some of the bills they're about to deal with. So yeah, all the best going out to Sergio.
Yeah, man.
I believe colon cancer, if I saw correctly.
Yeah, guys, go get tested. And
yeah,
no doubt. Just nothing but thoughts and well wishes to Sergio Kendall. Such a young guy. Just that one's kind of rocked me a little bit. Like it always feels like Sergio's had some bad luck along the way. So, of all the guys in the world to now be dealing with this, best wishes to Sergio. Thinking about you.
Yeah, get that stuff checked out. I had my first colonoscopy last year, the year that I turned 50, and I got to go see the cardiologist later this month. I mean, if stuff's going on, get it checked out. Also, this $5 super chat. Catch, what's the latest on Cruel ahead of his Tuesday decision? Also, how the hell is OU ranked higher or better than A&M, Ole Miss, or Tennessee?
I posted this over on Orange Bloods, Craig. I communicated. You say talk, and usually it's texting these days and whatever. I texted with a source earlier today. The vibe that he kind of expressed to me was that it seemed unlikely, but not impossible. No real mention of NIL or anything like that. Just that I think it'll be a little bit of a surprise, a pleasant surprise, but not a shock. If Texas is the pick tomorrow, I think there is an anticipation that it will be Oklahoma. And one of the things that I passed along on Orange was is that Texas is not going to the mattresses here from a revenue. They really want this young man, and they covet him, and I think internally they like him a lot more than I like him personally. But I don't think that there's the same level of by any means necessary that would have existed in some of the decisions that have come down in the last month or so. When you think about Cooper at running back or Atkinson at linebacker, they'll recruit this kid to the finish line. And I think they definitely want him. But, the discussions with each individual prospect, I think he's more important to Oklahoma than he is to Texas. And I think that Oklahoma will have at the end of the day, will have a better revenue sharing / NIL / whatever this kid is getting kind of a deal. I think Oklahoma will probably have the best package. They'll make sure they do. And sometimes kids just like other coaching staffs, and that coaching staff gives them a little bit more money, and maybe sometimes it just goes down that way. But again, I think Texas feels like they've got a shot. I do not hear like brimming, like bubbling over the surface confidence that, I've heard in other recruitments, even when it's looked like Texas was like not the favorite and there's quiet confidence behind the scenes. This one seems a little less so.
That's tomorrow in the 1 o'clock Central Hour for Jake Cruel, if I'm not mistaken. Craig, thank you for that one. That cleans off the super chats. Let's give a little shout out to Hijack and Texas Cardhouse. 6 locations for Texas Cardhouse in the great state of Texas. Tell them about Orange Bloods. Tell them, well, not about Orange Bloods. Mention Orange Bloods. At check-in, you get 1 month of free club membership and 2 hours of free poker play. And, of course, you can get online to hijackpoker.com. Scan that code, put it on any device you want, like maybe the phone, like you see there. Sign up, get the $20 bonus when you go to hijackpoker.com. Got to be in the state of Texas to play online poker with Hijack. Check them out. Shout out to Texas Cardhouse. You see the logo all the time when we are here on OB Live. If you guys want to throw in a super chat, you can. All right, Catch. When it comes to practice and getting rid of the clutter around Texas, do you want to just go, or do you want me to fire a couple questions at you of how we get rid of this clutter?
Throw some stuff at me. Let's see where it goes.
All right.
Obviously, I'll clean up whatever doesn't get mentioned.
A lot of talk's been about the defense. That obviously would be a matter of confidence for Texas fans. But tell me about, are you at least hearing the offense is getting its licks in a little. Are you hearing the offense is demoralized? Are you hearing they can't move at all? Everything's a 3 and out. They're just, completely demoralized by the whole situation. Like, that's what I would worry about if I'm a fan. I mean, are they still getting their work in?
Yeah. And I think there's probably more reason for optimism than pessimism. One of the things that came out of the scrimmage on Saturday, even during this, now look, this is one of the zero-sum parts of going your guys against your own guys.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds like at times they moved the ball in the middle of the field pretty well, and then drives would stall out. So, that's kind of what you'd want if your defense is good, is like, okay, we gave up a couple of plays, but at some point, if you're really good on defense, you stop letting the other team convert on you. And so I think that it wasn't – I think the most important thing. Have you heard about Arch Manning turning the ball over in the first 2 weeks of practice at all?
No, I have not.
That is, again, what did I say earlier? Sometimes you have to reverse engineer these things and ask yourself what you're not hearing outside of the clutter of what you are. And so a lot of times you have people saying, why am I not hearing that 5 touchdowns have been thrown? It's like, well, because 5 touchdowns weren't thrown. But you know what else you didn't hear? That Arch Manning got pick sixed, or that he had a couple of turnovers and couldn't hold on to the ball. And I would say this is what we were hearing about Quinn Ewers in his first season as a starter back in 2022. In fact, one of the conversation points 3 years ago would have been that Hudson Card wasn't turning the ball over, but that Quinn would push the ball more down the field than Hudson Card, that Hudson was a little bit more of a spray it underneath merchant, and that, the thought was, well, Quinn will figure everything else out, but he gives you the most expansive offense, which in retrospect, kind of interesting to think back on. But we have seen starting quarterbacks who carry big reputations get reported on in real time, and the turnovers have been a little bit of a thing. Arch didn't have a big turnover thing last year either. So he's not been a guy in workouts that's been a constant theme. And I think you're seeing that. You're not seeing you're not seeing the offense get suffocated. You're not seeing the offense, especially the first teamers, I think, turn the ball over and be completely loose with the ball. Certainly not Arch. Yeah. I think they've been okay. And I think that you're seeing that the Wingo connection is a good one. I think you've seen Livingstone have some success. I think the offense is okay. I think the defense is a lot better than okay. And somebody asked me the question yesterday in a buy or sell question chat. I think it's as simple as this. Buy or sell, am I more excited about what the defense is doing than concerned about what's happening to the offense? And it's a big buy. That I don't view anything that's happened at practice as an indictment of the offense. I do have questions. You won't hear me. I'm certainly not walking around saying, oh, yeah, Texas is going to throw up a 38 piece on it. I'll slow down. But I don't think that alarm bells need to be going off. But, it is a work in progress.
We got some super chats. Obviously, we're going to hit buy or sell as well. Real quick, Catch. Any balls hitting the ground? I haven't heard a lot of that either. Drop balls to where it's an issue. Have you heard of enough of those that you think maybe it's receivers need to?
No. I think Manny Muhammad's getting his hand on the ball a lot. It seems like a practice now isn't going by without his name being mentioned. Mm-hmm. All of that's ones versus twos. So what do we make out of if Trey Owens throws that ball or a Matthew Caldwell throws that ball versus the other way around? I don't know that I care. All I care about is like Manny Muhammad's getting his hands on the ball. Not hearing a lot about drop passes and fumbles. I think that, which is good. Again, I think that's a good question to ask, because if you are not hearing something, I think you have to ask yourself, why are we not hearing it? And if it's like, are they trying to protect people? That's not usually how this thing works. Trust me. If there were tons of passes being dropped, that would be getting out. That it's not probably means that's not happening a lot. So, yeah, I have far less urgent concerns. I can't help but to view everything that happens through the context of this is one of the most talented rosters in college football. So whatever's happening in practice is happening with high-level athletes that everybody else in the country, bar a number of teams I can count on one hand, would trade in a heartbeat. You know, whatever problems that Texas has, there are probably problems that everybody on some level has. And it is a thing that I can't shake about the Ohio State game, Chad. It is, in a lot of ways, a mirror representation of each other. Both of these two teams are super confident about their defense.
Yep.
Both of these teams are breaking in new pieces all over the place on offense, especially at quarterback. It's funny that Arch will get a benefit of the doubt that Julian Sayin isn't, but his level of experience is just a skosh higher than Sayin's. And so I think Ohio State will enter the game against Texas with a lot of the same themes. Defensive line controlled the line of scrimmage for much of practice. Well, what does that mean? It's kind of hard to know. They've got new pieces, new starters. We'll have to see how it shakes out. They've got a running game that's expected to be held down by James Peoples, former Texas prep kid. Peoples last year didn't break 200 yards rushing, and he averaged 4.0 yards per carry. That is not good. It is not the same as, well, Judkins is back there, and we're just going to roll with him. No. There are changes and components of both of these two offenses that are wildly unproven. And look, you've heard me say that guys like Trey Wisner have to be better than the 4.8 yards per carry that they averaged a year ago, that's not good enough. Well, yeah, same thing at Ohio State, same conversations. And if they run for 4 yards a carry against Texas, that probably doesn't get it done.
Yeah, it's a reminder. Yeah, that losing the room that they lost is a big, big part of it. Did anybody catch Travion Henderson's first touch in the NFL? Good God.
Well, and they don't have that guy.
Right.
So, they're just so many. I think the thing is, and even the Ohio State's defense we've not seen before because they have a new defensive coordinator. So is Steve Sarkisian walking around watching all of Matt Patricia's NFL defenses?
Yeah, they're going with the beard guy.
Players, it's got to be a bit tricky.
It's weird. The head coach, Ryan Day, I feel like we see too much of his face, and we don't see enough of Patricia's face. It's a weird combo between those two
we've
guys.
never seen Patricia. Like, it's a new DC.
Yeah. No, it's going to be him at the college level. That's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
Is he good without Belichick? That constantly is the question with that guy. I don't know. He should, at this level, be able to do what Greg Robinson once did, which is, quite frankly, run circles around the minds that he ran into at this level. Like, Greg Robinson always felt overqualified. I've never watched Greg Robinson in a single game he coached at Texas where I thought, man, I guess he's not a real good coach. NFL my ass. No, it was like he had it on lockdown. And I'm fascinated to see what Patricia does. But yeah, it's so odd that this is the first game of the season. What are we doing?
That's it. It would have been the first AP 1 versus 2 to start a season. It's not that now.
It still is the coaches poll, though. We're going to use the coaches poll.
No, we never do that. We can't use the.
I refuse to call Penn State the number 2 team in the country. I refuse to.
But even if you just like the AP 1 versus 3, I don't believe. Well, I don't believe Texas has never done that on the road to start. There's been a couple of top 5s. It's never been a 1 versus 3. They've never had one of those to start a year.
It's so wild, man.
It's going to be awesome. All right, we got a couple super chats, catch, and maybe buy or sell. What do you want to do?
Let's do buy or sell. Well, no. Give me the super chats. I still got to get like a couple of my buy or sell questions in.
All right, fair enough.
I'm a few in, so it's not like I am a long way off.
Let's start with this one. I see $10 here from Tom G 4847. $10. I would rather have Arch and the O struggling a bit than false confidence like Auburn is doing with Arnold. Tom, I know what you're referencing there, and yes, I agree with you. The stories coming out about Hugh Freeze going out of his way to sort of back the defense off so Jackson Arnold gets confidence. I get how there needs to be some level of that, but when he said it the first time at SEC Media Days, a lot of people lit on that comment, and it didn't sound right. It sounded fake. It sounded manufactured, Catch, and that's not what you want. That's not how to make your offense better.
All it is a variance of the discussion that we were having a week ago, which is a quarterback's best friend in games a good defense, his worst friend in practice? And I kind of get where he's coming from. If they're going to be good, their offense has to get good. It's hard to get good if you're not winning in practice. It is the real damned if you do, damned if you don't. Of all of the things that have ever come out about the coaching staff at Auburn over the years, I get it. This isn't one that I'll nitpick them on. I don't know if it's the right approach, but I can intellectually understand why they would think that this is of their list of priorities, why they would lean into that, even if conventionally it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I get it. That's true. Because if Arnold's not confident when he goes to Waco, they're dead. They could be in big trouble.
And he's not going to see in Waco the defense that he sees at Auburn on a day in and day out basis. So
yeah, that's true.
It's not like we have to get him prepared for. No, you don't. You got to get him prepared to be good. It's not like there won't be one athlete on that Baylor defense, maybe a couple that you would look at and go, they could play on that Auburn defense. They recruit a different level of athlete by and large than Baylor does. So I think that game interests me almost more than any other early on in the season. I want to see what both of those two teams have.
Hell yeah. Friday night too. It's a good one on the 29th, so we can all see it. $9.99 from Tracy. When facing Texas, which offensive and defensive players would you target and who would you avoid on both sides of the ball? GK top wearing OSU red, or I will bully you like you do during basketball. And that's a Liverpool shirt, in case you don't know. Catch is a Liverpool guy, so please don't think he's wearing Ohio State red. That's how you'll never walk alone.
You're telling me that I will walk alone? That's hardcore, man.
Yeah, don't do that to him, Tracy.
I'm here representing togetherness, and you're wanting to shake me, Tracy. Damn.
Yeah, offensive and defensive players you would target. Catch, I would test out Texas's right tackle, and I would test the interior of their the interior of both lines. Those are the first things that popped in my head in terms of who I'm trying to test for Texas.
By the way, we're ready to go to buy or sell, whatever you want to after this. I've got my last question figured out. I have to type it in, but I'm in mid-sentence. I can make it work. I watched this Ohio State video today. It was great. It said like massive scrimmage intel. I got like 48 minutes into it, and there was no scrimmage info, and I was like, okay, you got me. But it was entertaining. They had a conversation. First of all, they think this defensive line has a chance to be one of the 5 best defensive lines that Ohio State has ever had. Certainly in the interior. So I was like, oh, okay. That seems like hyperbole, but that sounds like they think they're going to at least be good at the area where we know that Texas has a question mark. What I found fascinating was at one point in the video, Chad, they asked themselves the following question. Like, Ohio State will get a sack on the first drive of the game. Who will get the sack?
Wow.
And then it was like 19 players that were like discussed. And it was like, man, they just think that these dudes are coming. This game for Texas comes down to, can they block Ohio State? It's as simple as that, man. And look,
Sure.
on the other side of the ball, similarly, that's it. Whichever one of these two offensive line blocks the other's defensive line the best, that probably decides the outcome of the game. And I don't know what to think, because both of these teams would say that their strength lines right up against the other team's perceived weakness.
Yeah. And then, Tracy, who would you avoid on both sides of the ball? If I'm facing Texas, I would make sure not to disrespect anybody wearing a 0 or a 1. Every offensive and defensive play. Make sure you know where 0 and 1 are and deal with them. That's the number one thing I think I would do.
I would say, if you're reading Texas practice reports, right? You can't find them on the Ohio State side of things. But if you're reading them on the Texas side, and if you watch any of the, by the way, Texas media team, where's our sizzle reel from Saturday?
Come on, Texas football.
It's been like 48 hours. Like, come on, give us 30 seconds of highlights and stuff. Let's see those touchdown passes. I would stay away from Malik Muhammad. And a year ago, he was the guy that teams threw at. If Julian's saying, based on the way we're hearing things are going in practice, I wouldn't throw it at Muhammad. I'd find another Huckleberry. Because a year ago, the knock on Malik Muhammad was that he never made plays on the ball, that he wasn't a playmaker, good player, but not a playmaker. And it seems like he's added that to his arsenal so far in the first 2 weeks of camp. Now, will that translate over into the season? We'll see. But I think a year ago, he was the guy. If you were asking me this question, you were going to throw it at Jahdae Barron. You know what I mean? You'd have to pick a poison somewhere. This season, I think it may change. I might be throwing the other way, which would mean throw it at Gilbo, test whoever's at nickel, unless it's McDonald. I would avoid the hell out of Jelani McDonald. I would tell you that too.
Tracy, thank you for that super chat. We appreciate it. The only other super chat I see is this one, which really has no answer, but Hookem Troy wants to know, why does Elko look like Jimbo Fisher's long-lost drunk brother? Hookem, I can't really dig into that exact thing. I'm not really sure. Thank y'all for the super chats. Almost 700 of you in the Specs chat.
Why don't you have a better answer for that, Chad?
I just don't have a better answer. That's a perception question, and there's really no accounting for perception. That's not who he looks like to me, but that's who he looks like to you, and then that's what you have to deal with. Here's Lisa for Specs.
Texans know for selection and lower prices, it all starts at Specs. Shop Specs! With all your favorites on tap, you'll bring home the win. Boots on, drinks up. The fun starts here. Shop Specs!
All right. Yeah, you want to throw us a super chat? It'll go right to the top. Even a super chat like that we just really can't answer. But if you want to throw it in, we can do it. Catch, you ready to buy or sell?
I am.
All right. You want to go first or second?
I'll go first.
Okay.
Buy or sell number 1, 20 points gets it done for the winning team in Columbus.
I am selling that right now. I'm still hanging at a 24-20 kind of a game. So I'm going to say sell right now, but I totally get why some people might be pushing it into more of a 17-13, 14-10 kind of area. Right now, though, I'm going to stay in the 20s.
Buy or sell number 2, Ryan Wingo. Buy all the damn stock.
That's a buy. That's a buy. I mean, to me, I saw Arch and Wingo starting to develop a little something in Arch's time last year. I think that's only going to get better. Wingo had the surgery on the eyes. He can see every bit of it all points to, plus we're rocking the number 1, it all points to good stuff to me. I'd buy it all.
I feel like not enough has been made of the fact that now this year he can see.
Yeah, those kind of stories get told, and sometimes people, it's like they think we're just making jokes and stuff, and it gets a little funny, but there's a lot of stories through the years. Tiger Woods, Greg Maddux, there was, Longhorn players as well, but Jameis Winston. And I think of different guys that had LASIK. That kind of stuff matters. When I can take a huge level of talent and give them 20/15 vision, it's a big deal, man.
I mean, in the sport that comes down to fine margins, it feels like a pretty important fine margin.
It does. God love the guys trying to cover Ryan Wingo now that he can fully see every bit of the ball.
That's where the defender is.
He can see every bit of everything now. That's crazy.
Buy or sell number 3. You watched the Dallas Cowboys preseason game and you wish you hadn't.
I will sell that. I knew exactly what I was getting into. It's kind of like if you're not into a musical or the opera or an orchestra and you go to see it, you know what you're in for. So when you're done, you wouldn't, you wish you hadn't gone. No, I went. I mean, my wife wanted to go and I'm good. I knew what I was getting in for. I knew what I was doing. So yeah, I'm all right. I'll sell that. I'll sell it, but it was what it was. It was a Cowboys preseason game.
I didn't watch the game because it wasn't on in the Houston area. I tried to turn it on and then I was like, hey, why can't I watch NFL? Wait, the game's not on. And then I just gave up and didn't care enough. And then I looked at the box score and then I was like, oh, I'm good.
Yeah,
I'm good. I'll be okay never having seen that.
It kind of was what it was. The best news I can give you, Catch, is when CeeDee Lamb got run over by an official on the sidelines, he was okay. That is easily the biggest story of that game for a Cowboys fan, because that almost turned into the most Dallas Cowboys story that had ever existed. Thank God he got up and he was okay.
Buy or sell number 4. I don't even know if you've heard of this yet, but the UFC is headed to Paramount Plus. No more pay-per-views. At least that's what Paramount Plus is saying. All you're going to need is a subscription and you'll get all of UFC's content. Yes.
It's a baby buy. I'll believe it when I see it. I will believe that when I see it. After all these pay-per-views Dana White's made people pay for, you're telling me all of a sudden he's just not going to? I'll believe it when I see it. But I'd be excited, yeah, if that's true and it turns into what WWE is now on Peacock, that'd be awesome. But I need to see it first.
And finally, buy or sell number 5. Instead of a Manning cast on Monday nights, you'd prefer a Jerry cast. Now think about it. Just think about it.
Sell. I'm not into that type of stuff for NFL games. I just want the game. I'm old school.
Watch Jerry drinking and watching football and just saying shit. I would. I'd watch.
A ton of people would. That's not my way of watching football.
They'd be like watching a real episode of Landman. Just let me have it.
Yeah, give me the highlights of it later. I don't need to watch it live. If the game actually mattered to me, now you're talking about this next Monday night's game. I don't even know who's playing. So I guess that's a buy. If it's this next Monday night and it's preseason, sure. Buy.
I just feel like Jerry would be wilding with if, it'd be like, saw that guy naked at the combine. Like, I just feel like Jerry could say anything.
He would. I'd get sad halfway through because I'd remember that that's the GM, president, and owner of one of my team. But anyway, that's a whole nother deal. I always get sad with Jerry. All right, there you go. That's Catches, buy or sell. We will get to I will get to mine here in just a second, real quick. Let's remind you about Hayes City Store. I'll throw up this one again because it just reminds me how tasty that old fashioned was. Get out to Hayes City Store, get your reservation done, go sit in that beautiful ice house. They've got the misters if it's a little warm. They'll get the heaters in when it gets a little chilly. Football season's coming. You can see a little bit of those extra screens in the back that they've put in the ice house now. It is an awesome place to hang, drink, eat, check out the whole menu. There's no way you can go wrong in Driftwood out there on FM 150. Tell Travis, Tamara, and the crew we said hello. They are Longhorns through and through. They are ready for Arch and the Horns at Ohio State. So check them out. Hayes City Store. All right, Catch. Let's go back to Texas and get you give you some predictions here in Columbus. Buy or sell number 1, starting D tackles for Texas in game 1. Murad Watson, Alex January. Buy or sell?
I'll sell and just take any combination of other guys, it could be in that place. I think they are going to be rotating guys. I think this stuff will be settled during the games. I think you might see 5 or 6 guys play 20 plus snaps in that game. So any of those guys could walk out as the starter.
Yeah, I was glad to hear January was getting some of that number 1 type of love at one point, looking for 97 to have a big year. All right, Catch, buy or sell number 2. First 3 wide receivers we'll see for Texas. Moore, Wingo, Livingstone.
Buy. I think at this point, that's almost by default, not being able to have Emmett. Don't you dare call him Emmanuel Sanders Mosley. In practice in a way, Livingstone's played well, had a really good first couple of weeks of practice. And I think is probably put some distance between himself and Mosley at this point. I think when healthy, Mosley's going to play a lot and be the 4th guy, but we know that Texas under Sarkisian doesn't typically play a ton of wide receivers. So you want to be in that first 3. And I bet that first 3 plays I would admit they will play the overwhelming number of snaps, I think, in Columbus. And then we'll see in the weeks that follow, the games that follow, a more expanded, larger, maybe splitting of the reps.
All right. Buy or sell number 3, Catch. You saw something from Quinn Ewers in his preseason debut that made you think he can be an NFL backup.
So the Dolphins have to be, if they really like Quinn Ewers just did them a huge favor. Because now, honestly, if you were the Dolphins, Ewers is going to get a lot of playing time in the preseason. And maybe the thing is, if he plays really, really well, the Dolphins have to make a real decision. They don't want him to be the backup quarterback, and they don't want to take 3 quarterbacks. They don't. They want him to be good enough that they like him, but they want to be able to waive him at the end of camp and stash him on the practice squad and then make it so that their $6 million investment in Zach Wilson wasn't just setting money on fire. I think this worked out pretty well for the Dolphins because I don't think there's a team in the NFL that passed on Quinn Ewers for 7 rounds that would look at Saturday and think we have to take that guy and take up a roster spot. No, I didn't. He's got to be better. I think. And look, don't make too much out of one deal, but like I also said, don't make too much out of the practices that we were hearing about. And, it looks great. It's like, okay, we'll settle down. Guys don't make NFL teams just off of practice. And he's going to have to play much better in the next preseason game to give himself a chance. Or Dolphins might sign another quarterback for the practice squad. There's nothing there. There were a couple of nice throws that showed why he could be an NFL quarterback. And there were 4 times as many plays that made you realize that there's still a lot of work there that needs to be done.
By the way, shout out to Zach Wilson. I think that's the first NFL quarterback I've ever seen wear 0. Bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it works for him. Catch, buy or sell number 4.
There's a joke there that I just, I'll get out of the way.
Yeah, Hulk Hogan would have been 72 today. Rest in peace. You think Hulk belongs above John Cena in the overall pecking order?
To me, this is an easy buy. But is that the conversation that in a pecking order of wrestlers is between these 2 guys? Because Hulk Hogan feels like the most famous, important wrestler of all time. That may be wrong, but I'm a kid from the 80s and kind of grew up in Hulkamania and views the NWO saga. My view of Hogan is he's the biggest star in the history of the sport. I would never look at Cena. But the thing about Cena is that I miss most of his entire I was out. So I'm the wrong person to ask that question to because I probably never put enough respect on Cena's name because I just missed that whole thing for the most part. I know who he is. I know what he did, but I wasn't all in and really watching John Cena.
Yeah, a lot of the kids think Cena's the GOAT. All right, Catch. And finally, how about this birthday? Buy or sell number 5, Anna Gunn. Skylar White from Breaking Bad has a birthday today. In a badass wife discussion, Skylar White is more of a badass than Wendy Bird in Ozark.
Sell. I mean, Wendy's about as badass as it gets. And I don't blame Skylar's character. I'm always amazed how to watch Orange Blood, the men of Orange Bloods. just hated Anna Gunn's character. Called her the B word. Said she was a dragon walked down. It was like, well, it's complicated. We can't act like it wasn't complicated.
Right.
But in terms of just being a badass, Wendy's on a level, on a different, the women of Ozark, different breed now, just a different breed.
Fair enough. All right. That is buy or sell. And I think we are, why did I think we had super chats? No, we cleaned the super chats off. Oh, look at that. Yeah, that's fantastic. All right. Thank you guys for throwing those super chats in earlier. And we did get all those cleaned off. All right. We are just about done. All I need to do is tell the people about AV consultations. We'll get this in and then we will say goodbye. But check them out. AV consultations can get you set up for the game or anything else.
Hey y'all, I'm Camille McKay.
And I'm Tom McKay, owner of Audiovisual Consultations.
The old man and I are here to give you your summer weather forecast. It's hot.
That's right, kid.
Which means it's time for pool parties, grilling burgers, and taking a beach vacation, right?
Well, I don't know about a vacation, but Audiovisual brings more heat than any tropical destination.
It was worth a shot. I'll settle for some outdoor speakers.
You know, Audiovisual can do a lot more than that. We provide outdoor video screens, audio systems, landscape lighting, even solar shades for your patio to keep the Texas heat at bay.
Well, I'm sold. Let's wrap this up. I'm ready to lounge on a floaty and listen to some smooth jazz.
Well, that sounds wonderful, but some smooth reggae is the way to go this summer.
Good thing we can listen to both with the Sonos sound system. I call dibs on the floaty, though. Peace out.
Kid, wait a second. Give us a call at 512-255-8678 or visit us at avconsultations.com. That's 512-255-8678.
All right, Catch, we're just about to hit an hour, and I know we don't want to do that. Anything else we need to hit real quick?
No.
Thank you for liking, subscribing, getting those notifications. Thank you all for helping those subscriber numbers get up to where they are. I don't even know what that crazy number is today, but thank you all for helping us do it. And remember, it is free to subscribe to the YouTube page. So thank you for doing that. Like on the way out if you didn't like on the way in, and check out all the great content.